Alex Kirshner, week 2 NFL picks. And buddy, I should be taking your advice on all these picks. I'm going to let you tell the people about how week 1 went for you.
Well, you should be taking my advice all the time, not just on picks. But in this case, I went 5-0 last weekend picking NFL games. Had a great run. Even decided just before some of them kicked off to throw a couple of them into an extra parlay because I felt so good about them.
Oh, baby, he's feeling it.
So, it's a burden that I don't take lightly, knowing that if everyone in the stock market had just divested from their shares and just followed me into battle, that the economy would be on astronaut status right now. But
so I went 2-3 last. I went 2-3 last week. That's 40%. Alex, can you tell me what percentage 5-0 is?
I think that would be 100%.
Sources tell me that 100%
right. Winning percentage. So we don't guarantee that every week, but what we follow here is a process. We trust our process, and if we can keep just doing well, that's going to be good. We've built ourselves some cushion with the annual record here.
Good deal, brother. All right, let's get this bread yet again. Week 2, Vikings, Colts. Me and you are in agreement for the game in Indianapolis. We are buying the Vikings despite what happened against the Packers last week. I have them at +3. You have them at +3.5.
Yeah, I just grabbed them a little later, I guess, but I feel pretty good about them even at +3. Obviously there's a little bit more of a push risk there, but I think the Vikings are good, and they didn't look it in Green Bay last week. I think some of that's attributable to the defense sort of getting its sea legs. Yannick Ngakoue, who as a Jaguar, who I know.
We don't say that name around here.
I know him from going to the University of Maryland with him. He's one of the better defensive players in the NFL. He is a Terp. He played, I think, 44 out of 78 snaps last week, was a complete non-factor. That makes sense. He had just been traded, within, I think, a week or so of that game. He's learning. I think he'll be an impact player for them, and I just don't think the Colts are good. So I like Minnesota, even on the road here, and particularly at 3.5, but even at 3.
I'm not going to say the Colts aren't good, but I watched the Colts game last week. They lost to the Jaguars. Excuse me. They lost to the Jaguars, and Phillip Rivers did not play spectacularly well. All right, so the next game that we actually both are in accord on as well is Panthers-Bucks. The Panthers burned me last week. I took them under against the Ravens. I took the under against the Raiders, and this week I'm going back to the well, and I'm going to try to reverse my luck by going over. So I'm taking them over 48.5. Alex, you are taking the Panthers +9 in this road tilt.
I am. I think that a lot of people and a lot of computer systems understandably think that the Bucs are going to be pretty good this year. You have Tom Brady, you have Rob Gronkowski, a defense that should be among the better defenses in the NFL. All of that's true. I just didn't see it in New Orleans last week. Brady looked like a scarecrow. He did not look like himself. And 9 is, by NFL terms, a pretty big number. I mean, I would love it even more if it became like Panthers +11. But I feel pretty good about the Panthers, even in Tampa, being able to lose by just a touchdown. So at +9, I like them.
This Panthers-Bucks game, I think, is going to be a learning process for me because I'm still trying to figure out how to navigate NFL totals. I think me and you, when we see big numbers in the NFL, or in college football, particularly big spreads, we hop on them. I think here in the NFL, just because of the nature of the sport, the nature of the league, there is less dispersion in lines, in talent, in skill, and in totals. So, 48-5 in a college game, I'd probably hop on an over no matter what. Here, based on what happened last week, I'm a little tentative, I'm a little gun shy, but come on, I still fired on it. So how gun shy?
It's one of these where it's like, for us as college football people, seeing the numbers being this small because the game is just played at a higher level, it's a little jarring, and you have to kind of adjust to be like, all right, well, +9 for the Panthers. I mean, I don't know what a great college equivalent to that would be, but that might be a 3 touchdown plus spread in college if we were talking about teams that were viewed similarly in the pecking order. So it's just a mental adjustment for me.
Indeed. All right, let's move on to the games that we have different. Another sort of learning process here. For the folks at home, I'm going to tell you to write down your picks when you make them, because Sunday evening, when after the Rams game ended and I saw that the Rams were a 2.5 point underdog against the Eagles in Philly, I fired on them, no questions asked, because I like what the Rams did on Sunday night. I did not like what Philly did on Sunday afternoon. I then actually went and watched the Philly-Washington game on Tuesday, and even more disliked what Philly did in that game. And when I was looking at some picks last night, I saw that the Rams were a 1-point favorite against Philly, and completely forgetting about the pick that I made earlier in the week, I also fired on the Rams as a 1-point favorite. So I have the Rams as a 2.5-point underdog and as a 1-point favorite. So there is a very niche circumstance where I could win and push this bet. But hopefully we win both these bets and we cash both these bets. But I will say, learning opportunity for you folks, when you make the picks, actually write them down before you go back to make your picks later in the week. But what I did do was get a really favorable line early on Sunday night before it moved out of my favor, which is where it's at now, roughly around 1-point favorite for the Rams.
Yeah, I think winning but also pushing would be an extremely 2020 outcome for you. I hope that you win. I hope that you win both, but it would be very fitting. I have another game. I am going to play an under this week with the Patriots and the Seahawks in Seattle. I got this under at 45.5. I think in some places it shifted maybe a point lower, but you can look around and see what you can get. I suspect that Bill Belichick is really going to try to sit on this game. It's his first significant test of any kind. With not just Cam Newton, but with a defense that has a lot of new faces on it. It is on the road, which we'll talk in a little bit about what we think that's actually worth this year. But it's against a good team that, tries to establish the run, as we like to say.
Hashtag establish it.
Moving. I think the Patriots ran 63 plays in week one. Their average drive was, so that's not a lot of plays. That was one of the lowest totals in the NFL. Their average drive was almost 4 minutes. I think they were trying to sit on the game and keep it moving, even against Miami. I can't imagine how much they're going to try to do that in Seattle against an actual good team. So typically, if I see Cam Newton and Russell Wilson, I would be interested in the over. Not today, not in this game. I like under 45.5.
I like this game to go over. I did not pick it to go over. Maybe by the end of this video, I may add something. Let me think it over. Let me chew it over. Because while you were talking about the reasons that you think it's going to go under, I'm like, I think this is going to go over actually. So we'll see if I. We'll see if I make an emotional fire by the end of this video. But the emotional fire that I already did earlier this week is absolutely Jags +10 over Titans. Baby, Duval is back. Saxonville is back. My Jags are going to go to Nashville and do something they haven't done in 6 years, which is defeat the Tennessee Titans.
Defeat.
No, defeat outright, baby. Come on now.
All right.
Go 2-0.
Okay, I respect that.
These Jags different. So that is the emotional fire of the week. I think the Jags are going to win that game outright. I think that line is down to like 8.5 at this point. I'm not sure. I didn't look over it. I took it earlier in the week on like Monday.
I'm seeing it at 9, and I think you can get it some places even 8.5. Yeah,
8.5. All right, you go next, Alex.
Sure. I have the Dallas Cowboys, the boys, America's team, as a 4-point favorite against the Falcons. This is at home in North Texas. You can also find about 4.5, depending on the odds you're willing to take and the prices. But I think the Cowboys, I did bet against them on the money line last week with the Rams, and that worked out for me. But I think they're a pretty good team. I think that, obviously the offensive skill position players and the quarterback speak for themselves. The line speaks for itself. I just am not sure that the Falcons are any good at all. I mean, particularly defensively. I think that anytime you have a Matt Ryan, Julio Jones offense, you'll score a bit. But someone needs to explain to me why the Cowboys are not going to score just a ton of points in this game. And at less than a touchdown at home, I just feel pretty good about that. And I'm waiting to see more. I was a little bit amused. Raheem Morris, the defensive coordinator of the Falcons, said that last week he thought that they underestimated the Seahawks passing game, which, I don't understand how you would do that.
Yeah, I don't think that's a good idea.
I just don't get like some things sneak up on you. Some things can legitimately sneak up on you in sports, no question. Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf and their friends being good at throwing doesn't seem like it should be one of them, but that's just me.
Yeah, that's not a winning business model. I'm not sure why they did that. Anyway, Cardinals Washington. I'm taking that under 47.5. We're talking totals. I'm taking that under 47.5. Why? Because the Washington offense is awful. The Cardinals offense was not firing on all cylinders, and I think that's because they played a pretty good defense. They're going to play another pretty good defense in this Washington team. I think the Cardinals are going to win this game. I think the Cardinals could even score 30 points, but do I think Washington is going to score 2 touchdowns? Not really. So I'm going to take the under. And Alex, true to form, like I promised, I have emotionally fired on Patriots Seahawks over. I got it at 44.5 while you were talking. That's professional picking. So I have fired on the Sunday night game as well.
We could both win there because I have it at 45.5. So if that game hits on exactly 45 points, then it's a profit day here at Odds Checker.
We love to both win. We love when the whole team eats.
We absolutely do. My last pick of the week, and I want to talk with you a bit because I think we have a differing opinion of what home field is worth here. I have the Broncos on the road as 7.5-point dogs in Pittsburgh against the Steelers. I have said on our last couple of videos here, I think the Steelers are good this year. They look good against the Giants on Monday night. But at more than a touchdown, I like Denver. I think that Drew Lock has in Noah Fant, the former Iowa tight end, a really dangerous favorite target who he's found. I think Jerry Jeudy is already starting to emerge as a really solid intermediate target. And I just think the Broncos are not that bad, even with Von Miller injured, that I think that they can go ahead and cover a spread that's just slightly north of a touchdown. I was given some pause because the Steelers are at home, and I actually think that there is some value to being the home team this year. That's just a complete guess. I think that, typically I would spot like 2 to 3 for the home team and assume that they're going to get some kind of boost. There's no fans in the crowd at a lot of places, including in Pittsburgh, but isn't there some kind of home field benefit? And I know that goes against this specific bet for me, but isn't there some kind of home field benefit just like not getting on a plane and going and playing?
Yeah, I get it, but I mean, you saw what the Seahawks did on Sunday. The Seahawks got on a plane Sunday morning, flew to Atlanta, and kicked the crap out of the Falcons. I think you're going to see it. I think I'm definitely going to see it. Perhaps in that Rams game, the Rams have to fly to Philly early in the morning. I think you should see it. I think the Rams go East Coast again next week. So that may be something where, in a typical year, maybe the Rams would stay out east and not come back.
Sure.
But so we'll see. My thing with home field advantage is from a schematic perspective, the road offense is able to go through its normal cadence. They don't have to silent count. They don't have to change anything up. That's where I think I'm not going to say it totally balances out. I think you should factor in home field in certain spots, particularly West Coast team flying east. But I don't know. I don't know what my calibration is going to be for home field advantage mentally yet. I'm not so sure about that yet.
So it's a thing we're going to watch, and we're going to look a couple weeks into the season and see our home teams winning more. Are they covering more, or are they not?
Good deal. Alex, those are the week 2 picks. I hope to be like you, and I hope to go, I think I took 7 games. I hope to go a perfect 100% just like you, Alex. I'm just trying to follow your lead, brother.
Thanks. I'm also trying to win 100% of my picks. I think that would be good for me economically and in terms of reputation. Yeah.
Agree.